Alright, hey guys, welcome back, and now we're going to be going ahead and going through our review of yesterday. And so we're going to be going over our top control positions. You see that my partner is firmer, because we're a little bit more excited today, because we get to be learning new stuff, I guess. So my partner is now this heavy bag. So again, basically if this is the leg side, you know, the way that I'm going to end up here is maybe I just did a takedown and I'm able to get to the side. Maybe we're starting on our knees and my partner has just kind of sat down on their butt, which we'll cover relatively soon here in the video. Or I've broken open the guard. So what I want to be in here, in this position, is going to be this combat base. And the reason is that they're not going to be able to lock the legs back up around me because I'm just kind of too big and I'm on that defensive. It's going to be easy for me to slide in. One thing I want to be really cognizant of, and maybe now's not the time to do it, but is that I don't want to have one arm extended here, or this one to be disconnected or floating out here, especially if this arm is disconnected, because then I'm going to be beginning set up for a triangle choke. I could get submitted here. So that's when my elbows are in, and they're both on the inside of their thigh. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my knee, go over their thigh here. Again, there's nobody here, so we'll cover this in detail later. But so I'm here, and now I'm going to be passing their guards. I'm going over the light, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hand. I'm going to search for head control, right? So I underhook their head, and so now I got two things that I can do. First, I'm going to take this hand on the block here, right? And I'm not going to let go of this leg until this leg is free. If I move this leg, I'm going to get stuck in half guard, right? So I've got their leg hooked here, and I can just put my knee on the inside of their hip, on the other side of the leg, and come out to the side control position, right? And what I kind of want from this position, the other way that I can do this, right, is I'm here, and I can back step with my hand up against their hips on this side of their leg, right? And I'm not worried about him gripping up on this one, but I get into this position by back stepping, and then I can slide into my side control position. When I'm in this position, my knees are connected at the shoulder and at the hip, right? I've got this friction grip here. My shoulder is pushing into their jaw, not so I hurt them, but just so that they can't turn into me easily. And I could be here, right? Especially if they're kind of bridging into me and trying to get that near side leg between right here in my hip, so that they can regard, right? So my hand here is going to be blocking that. The other way I can kind of block that a little bit is to bring my arm over and kind of pinch them into my body. Now, again, as we talked about yesterday, I want my weight here on the near side shoulder. I don't want to get onto that center line, right? And the reason for that, if I put my weight up here, you see that my hips are high. That's going to be something that's going to make it easier for me to roll. So my legs are as far apart as they possibly can be, and I'm trying to guard that near side shoulder, because if he were to really be inclined to, it'd be pretty easy for him to kind of bridge, roll me over, and now I'm in that side control position. So I don't want that, right? I'm giving you this angle for a reason, by the way. So I've got that underhook, I've got this pinch between my knee and my elbow, and if I want to, if I feel like they're trying to roll me too much here, I'm going to straighten out that back leg and I'm going to drop this hip all the way into the ground. Notice that my head is on their chest too, right? I don't need to look around and see what's going on. I have a pretty good idea where the arms and legs are, because it's kind of pinned under me right now a little bit. So my hip's buried here, I got that pinch here, and now he really can't roll me this way. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick up this leg and I'll post it out to the side. Right? I've got this pinch here, and as I kind of ease my pressure up here, it's going to move a little bit to my shoulder here, so I'm a little bit kind of right on the hips, right? And so from here, I glue my hip to his knees, which should be up, right? It should be in that bridge position. You shouldn't have him flat out, because then he won't be able to move. And then from here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to drop my hip, and I'm pitching between my elbow and my hip, right? My weight, my pressure is right on this near side point here, right? Right? So I've come into this position, right? This leg is that way. This leg is mobile, I'm light with this leg, and I've got that pinch here, right? But I don't have this space here, because if he really wanted to, he could potentially bridge and shrimp out and start getting underneath me, and maybe start actually working towards getting my back, which I definitely don't want. So this weight here on the hips, so that if he moves, I kind of move with him a little bit. If he tries to move away, I'm gonna follow him around. If he tries to sit up on me, I've got this post with my leg, right? If he tries to bridge forward, I got that post with my leg, and now I have this arm free to attack. Usually, what's going to happen here if I'm going to attack is I'm going to start working this hand near side hand free with this arm. Maybe I'll be able to push up, pin the arm to his side, and go for that head and arm choke, whatever. So that's going to be your kind of transition into this switch-based position. We can also do a very similar transition here, right? And again, I'm forgetting details on that, so I'm going to go ahead and go back over that again. So I've got this wide base here, right? I'm going to cup the shoulder. I'm going to cup the tricep on this arm, right? So basically, cupping the shoulder, I'm not going to let this shoulder touch the ground, because I don't want him to start to be able to roll me here. Likewise, I don't want him to turn in, right? I might actually want him to turn in. It depends. But if I'm holding on to this tricep, right, it's going to be very hard for him to kind of turn in if my goal is to get to this switch base. The reason why I might not want to, right, if I am holding onto this shoulder and I give him space, he's going to start to turn in here, and I can usually underhook here, and I can start working for that Darce choke. Another thing that can happen is that I can actually hide his arm in my pocket, especially if he's stretching it out, step over, and then there's a whole series of shoulder locks and chokes that you can get from this position, but we'll go over that later. So there are instances, just for example, that we might want to be able to get from him turning in. But for right now, we're working on control and trying to establish position. So let's not worry about that too much at the moment. So I'm going to cut the shoulder. I'm going to cut that tricep so that he can't turn in, because that's what we're doing right now, right? I'm going to post my leg out, right? Now, if he does, because my hips are higher now, right? I'm trying to keep them as low as possible, but they are higher. If he does start to try to roll me here, I've got this post here, right? So I can let go of this to kind of maintain that so he doesn't roll me over and take side control. So this is important, but this is actually a little bit more important if I'm going into the switch base. Now, again, because I've created this space here, he can start to move his hips out and get that leg between us and potentially go back into guard, or maybe he can get lucky and start taking my back and that type of thing. So I don't want that to happen. So once I get this leg posted, I'm going to drop my hips onto his knee, onto his thigh, right? And this is just going to kind of marry us together, and then I'm going to slide my hips down to get into that switch base. Same transition, right? I'm here. I can also come and slide under the shoulder. I'm going to use this deltoid grip to kind of slide me up and then get into the scarf hold position. When I get into this position, again, toes are up, my shoulders are in front of my hips, right? So I'm kind of in this little hurdler's position. And the reason my shoulders are in front of my hips so he doesn't sit up and start to take me back, right? So I'm here, and again, this is where I can start working out for a scarf shoulder lock, or I can go head and arm choke from here. I've got arm bars I can go from here. I can switch into north-south. So there's all kinds of options. That's why I want to necessarily get to this position. And again, if he starts really trying to sit up on me, I'm ready to go back into that more secure side control position if I need to. So from here, right, I can grab his belt, I can grab his hip. Since we're going no-gi, let's go ahead and grab the hip here. I'm going to go ahead and just bring my forearm down onto his side here. I'm going to push onto his shoulder here, and without breaking connection, I'm going to slide my knee up and I'm going to post out. My foot is tucked in close. It's underneath his hip here. My other leg is light, right? And again, once I get into this position, I've got his hip, shoulder, shoulder. That is where my head is. So if I have to, I might build my posture up really tall if I'm a really tall guy compared to my partner. If I'm a little short guy, I might come down really low here. It just depends on what I need to do in order to kind of stay in that box and get more sturdy. a lot of times the things that really annoy me when I'm rolling with my coach is that when he gets here, he'll get here with side control because he's a little guy. And I can't get him off of me, right? And then I actually approached him and asked him, what is the way that you would get out of this position? So he showed me something, and then immediately started using the counter whenever we rolled, and I tried to use that escape. So again, like, there is no perfect technique, and I've actually developed a couple other techniques that I'll show you when we get into more gi stuff that will help you get out of this knee ride position. But anyways, here we are, we've established this knee ride. The other way that we didn't cover to get into here, and it's just a good way to kind of know, is that I can get over here, right? Hold on that tricep, hold on that shoulder, get into this switch-based position. From here, I can push and push on the hips, and then I'm going to drive my hips up their thighs. So my hips are glued to their thighs so they can't block me, and then I slide up into this knee ride position. Once I am here, if he starts to like turn into me and he's like getting really aggressive, like trying to shrimp out and all that, I need to move to the other side. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to post on the ground, bring my two knees together, and remember his knees are up right now, right? Because he's in that bridge position so that he can buck me off if he needs to. So he's not going to be able to do it really easily with my feet on his hips or into his belly like this, but his knees are up and I need to clear that. So it's really important that I get into this position, right? My toes are pointed, my heels are as close to my butt as I can possibly get, and I move to the other side, and then I step out and I re-establish on the other side. Up, up, okay? So that's going to be your near side, far side knee ride. Now, I did talk about being in this knee ride position and doing kind of a fancy capoeira transition to mount, and I'll just remind you what that is. So I've got my two posts here. I'm going to bring my knee to the shoulder. I'm going to move my post to this far side hip, kick around, slide down, and tuck that under his hip, and slide down, right? It's a little fancy. It's something that, again, drill it now. In order to kind of get more experience with it, because it's going to take longer for you to learn. Go ahead and drill it now, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend adding it into your rolling quite yet. So I got here, I cut the shoulder, and I come up into that knee ride position. Now, maybe there's a reason I can't get over those hips right now. Maybe he's like triangulating his legs or doing something that's like really creating a little block there for me, while also kind of still trying to turn in or turn out or something. Or maybe I just want to look fancy or whatever. So what I'm going to do, and again, this is a really, really great movement to practice because it's going to feed into that far side arm bar that we're going to be doing a little bit later on. So from here, I'm going to step over the head, being very cautious not to hit his head, right? I'm going to bring both my knees together here, right? I'm going to post, watching out for his head, and then I come around to the other side, right? So from the back, I'm here, right? So I post, right? I swing around, knees together in that peepee dance. I post, and I swing over until I get back into that knee ride position, right? So I'm facing this way. So that's going to be your over the head knee ride transition. Now, to get into mount, right? I've got this knee ride position that we've gotten into. I'm going to just post to the other side, and I'm going to drop my knee down to the ground. So this knee is all the way there, and I've got two posts here. So if he tries to roll me, here I go, right? I've got these posts to kind of keep me here. So I'm going to take this leg, I'm going to tuck it under the hips, and then bring this other leg out and tuck under the hips. My knees should be lightly touching the ground or off the ground. I don't want to be putting any weight on my knees. My chest is up, so I'm arching up. I've got these little floaty points. I'm not committing to either one of those, because if I do that, it's going to be very easy for him to like take an arm away and start to dive me over. My feet are together, but not locked, and they are not grapevine either. Now, one thing I didn't mention is that if I'm in this position, my feet are together, and he starts to buck me one direction or another, I'm going to cut the back of the head, I'm going to stretch out if he's trying to buck me this way, and a lot of times I will grapevine, right? I'll extend this leg out and grapevine over, and it's going to kind of kill his power and be able to buck me over. Now, this is not somewhere I want to hang out, because he might start to escape that hook, and may be able to have a path to escape. I could be here, right, in the same position, and over to this side. There's going to be instances where that's going to be very practical. But if he does buck me over, that's when I go for that grapevine, just temporarily, just to kind of diminish his power and keep a good connection on him. So again, my pressure, right, in this position, and we'll go through this again for all the positions, is that my pressure is with my hips onto his hips, right? My connection to, I'm rooted to the floor through my hands and through my knees. So if he starts to roll me over, this knee and this knee, those are what's keeping me from getting rolled here, right? That's my rooting in the floor. My connection is under his legs and with these little hooks here, right? So he can't just like bridge and push me off because I'm connected with those legs here. All right, so side control. My pressure, shoulder to shoulder and shoulder into jaw. Connection is this hook at the armpit. It's going to be right here where the insertion of the latissimus dorsi and infraspinatus and all that are here in the back of the back. And I'm not squeezing or really hooking there. I'm just kind of creating this little bit of a friction grip here. This could also be connection, right? This could also be kind of connection. My knees are connected, right? And right now, I'm kind of trying to be rooted through my hips in this position, right? So my legs are as wide as possible and my weight is as far back and down as I possibly can be, right? I don't want to have my weight here, right, in my knees. You can see I can pick those up because you see that what that's doing is it's driving me forward. So, pressure, connection, root, right? And then I get into that switch-based position, right? I'm here. Connection is here and here. My pressure is right here on his near side hip, pinching together. This is part of my connection. And I'm rooting in the floor through this hip and kind of with this floating foot, right? It's going to stop me from getting rolled. When I get into the scarf hold, it's really kind of the same thing. My pressure, hip on my near side hip, connection, hip and elbow. And I'm rooting the floor through my hips here, right? And potentially actually almost my heel here too, right? Because I don't want to be sitting up, so I want to be a little bit weight forward. Now, could he bridge and try to push me that way? Probably not. Got a post here, right? So that's going to be your scarf hold. And notice that how I transition back, it's just reversing the whole damn thing. So don't feel shy about that. So, we are going into our knee ride position, so however you slide up to that knee ride. My pressure is with my knee in his belly, right? I'm rooted in the ground through this foot, but very lightly. I'm really not trying to put any weight on there because again, that's going to take weight off of him and I want him carrying that weight. So, my connection, hand, knee, and then my foot tucked under his hip. That's a very important connection because it's going to really, really stop him from getting that knee in, right? So I'm here, and I'm into this knee ride. When we get into mount, my pressure's with my hips. I'm rooting in the floor through my hands and my knees. My connection is with my feet up and together, all right? That concludes our review for today, and let's go ahead and get on to the next class.